like to call to order the Springboro Board of Education for Springboro Community Schools for July 17, 2018. Roll call.
Anderson.
Here.
Bass. Here. Palate.
Here.
Goods.
Here.
Stuckey.
Here. Rise for the pledge and
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt tonight's agenda? Second.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Anderson. Bass. Here. Palate.
Yes.
Goods.
Yes.
Stuckey.
Yes. 1.3, approval of June 14, 2018 meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Anderson.
Yes.
Bass. Palate.
Yes.
Goods.
Yes.
Stuckey.
Yes. Mr. Schreier?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to ask Brooke Holder and Carrie Porter to come up here. These are two members of the YMCA fundraising committee that we had set up this year. And this is something that has been happening for several years here at Springboro Schools, where our school buildings, whether led by teachers, led by students, or administrators, do a fundraising campaign for the best YMCA in all of Ohio, the Kaufman YMCA. Tonight it is my honor to be able to present a check for $9,000. David Thompson, come on up. Well, first off, I think David would like to say a few words.
So on behalf of the YMCA, the Kaufman YMCA, our board of directors, all the kids and families that we serve at the YMCA and our staff, I want to say thank you to the administration, the schools, all the teachers and everybody on staff that worked hard, all the students that helped out as well. These funds go to help the people in our community that cannot afford YMCA programs or membership, and they go to help other initiatives that we offer at the Y, like a week of free swimming lessons to children. A new program that we launched last year is providing free summer membership to kids going into 7th and 8th grade. And we have 95 kids thus far that have taken advantage of that program. We've hired an activity leader to spend time with them over the summer at the Y. And so it's this type of funding that's helping us to fulfill the mission work that we do at the YMCA. And so on behalf of the Y, thank you.
Thank you. Now, I'm going to ask Dave Stuckey and Jamie Balage to come up here as President, Vice President Board to hand you this amazing check. But as they walk up, where did Springboro Schools rank as far as groups that gave money this year?
So in terms of, you had stiff competition.
I know.
And I think it's,
Of all the groups in all of this area, we got,
I think it's either first or second.
how about that?
And it's Premier Health is probably the one that might be just ahead.
We're going to get a picture here of these guys together. Yeah, they would. Good point, yeah. We're going to get a picture of him presenting this. What's that? A big check, please. We didn't get the big check.
You want to do it?
Congratulations.
How about a round of applause for the golf? Get a good picture here. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Thanks for having me tonight. Yes, sir. And don't be offended.
No, that's all right. Mr. President, this is July, and we do not have received presentations tonight. We will point there.
Is there anyone from the Springboro Education Association that would like to speak tonight? So, the classified employees? But public participation prearranged? I don't have anything. And is there any public participation on any agenda item?
I
No. Okay.
Company goes there to stand up.
You can just stand.
Hi, Stephanie Benoon, 35 Fry Court. A lot of us, I think you've noticed are here, probably more than usual, a lot of them this summer. And part of it is we're pretty concerned about what's going on with our classified staff and our teachers' contracts. And I just am concerned that we're going to approve a superintendent one first. I'm talking on the superintendent's one. I'm surprised that we're gonna go ahead and do a superintendent and treasurers, but not have our most important people, the teachers and classified staff's contracts. Okay. Just seems backward to me. Thank you.
Work session.
Work session, we have one committee report.
Yes, that's,
Mrs. Deloy.
yes, that's me. The Budget and Finance Committee did meet on June 15th at 9 a.m. The minutes are already posted online for your review. We did discuss the ASBO debt pools that we have been looking at our next steps in that venture. Also, we were looking at the capital needs budgets and determining the large list of unmet needs that we do have and the potential that we may have to increase the allotment that we set aside each year for our capital projects that are needed to be done. We also started to discuss the long-term planning process and our next steps on that process and how to begin. And we also discussed the 5-year forecast that had been approved in May.
Mr. President, we have no other
I
items.
have a question about the committees.
Sure.
And just thinking about the upcoming year, for the parents that are on those, is that something that happens in the fall, that new parents are placed on those? Or how just for parents that have an interest, do they reach out to principals, or how does that selection process happen?
Last year, we had a nice process, we thought. It happened in the fall, and we got close to January 1. We actually sent an email, actually put it on Facebook, put it on the website, if people wanted to volunteer for those committees. Most people that volunteered got on, there were a couple committees that had a lot. So the principals worked with how to get people on, but yeah, we got a full
So is it January through December, or is
Yes.
it the school year?
January through December. the
January
committees are
through
now.
Same with the week, 2 hours.
So how does that work if
Organizational
they're-
meetings where we assign ourselves to committees, I think it's the same timing.
How does that work building wise? Like if you have somebody at the SI building, that wouldn't work out school year wise?
Well, if you're talking about district parent council, I think, all the other committees are kind
Oh.
of district
District.
committees.
Got it.
District- The district parent council, what
Gotcha.
we've set up is a 2-year rotation, so the principals know, except for SI. You've got someone that's there for 2 years, so the second year, there's another one comes on for first year, so that you're not losing 2 every year. So we've got that rotation set up, except for SI, it's a little more difficult that way.
So does that one rotate to school year?
No,
The district?
that's still, that's set up also January to December. And actually, that question had come up, I think, who we have on there is someone, I think, trying to think, either they were on and the next one was coming on. It worked out, I'll have to check who it is and talk to them.
Okay, so that's good to know though. So the rotation happens in January, so if there'll be
And we'll have
information
communication.
going out.
Yes.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Other business?
I think we're ready to move on to the treasurer's report, Mr. President.
This is a record so far. We have the June 2018 financials on here for your approval tonight. We ended the year better than even expected, which is always good to hear. Our revenue did come in higher by $296,000 on about $52 million. Part of that increase came from a little bit larger of a casino revenue that we received $16,000 extra dollars for that. We got a slightly larger increase on our catastrophic cost reimbursement that we submit each year. We received an additional $17,000 plus on that. Also, we received an additional $88,000 from the state for different adjustments that they make. They are always in arrears on their adjustments, so sometimes when they finalize everything, it's either a positive adjustment or a negative adjustment. We made out this year with a positive $88,000 adjustment. We had a couple other items. $149,000 was anticipated that came in higher than anticipated because we had a larger amount of tuition for our foster place kids that we bill the districts that their home residency is. We bill those districts for those costs. So that was also a slight increase. Everything else, our real estate and public utilities came in exactly as anticipated. On expenditures, I'll hit on the athletic summary because that's something I know that the board was interested in each year. Once we moved the athletics back to the general fund, we wanted to make sure that there was going to be no additional general fund cost that was going to be able to support what the board had been giving before when they were doing the transfer, plus the paid participate fees. So the way the year shook out for athletics was we received a total of $693,000 in revenue, which was $365,000 was the board's portion, and then $328,000 and some change for the pay to participate, and their expenses came out at $677,891. So they were $15,000 to the good when we closed the books for the year. So that's still working as anticipated. Our expenditures, I have this all posted on board docs if anyone would like to look at that, but we did end the fiscal year $22,000 under budget. So we were very close. We actually closed the year with $15,000 in encumbrances. So our actual net ending the year will actually only be about $5,000 off anticipated on a $52 million budget. So there wasn't even a percentage that calculated on the calculator for that. So that was good news. So our cash balance ended the year at $9,976,196. And remember also, that's slightly larger because of that change that was made by the federal government, that if you were to pay your taxes ahead of time, you were able to write those off on your taxes. So our cash balance is reflecting a lot higher this year, and it's backed out next year because they will be paying it. They got the credit last year in one fiscal year, and it will be reflected in another. So that'll come back down for next fiscal year. So it's not additional money, it's just in which fiscal year we receive the revenue. So that is the financials for June. I also have approval tonight for 167 putters valued at $3,340 donated by Tyrone and Elizabeth Daniels to the Springboro High School Golf Department. And then I also have on for tonight the GAF and audit approval. It's a 5-year contract that the state did. Atwood Associates won the state bid, and this is year 2 of that 5-year contract. That each year they like to so I can have an approval on it for that as well. So that's my items.
Is there a motion to accept items 41 and 43?
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
Can you just, I know your record keeping, everything is impeccable. Can you just kind of explain a little bit of the intensity of the audits, just because I think it's really impressive what all you guys have done, like what they come in and do with the Blackbird.
They come in and they pull quite a large amount of all of our AP and accounts receivable receipts, and they do what's called random sampling. They basically pull 50 to 100, and they random sample those, and if all of those check out on all of their checklists for everything that's required, then they don't pull any more. If they find errors, they pull more so they can get an idea of how large they think things may be doing well, or they need to have further internal controls. They also audit all of our internal controls district-wide. Everything from our HR department on how we hire, that we're looking at all the proper agencies to make sure that, people don't have, they do background checks, they check that to make sure we're doing that. They also check to make sure we go out to the new hire reporting that people that don't owe money for child support and things like that. It's an extensive process that they look at for HR. They also look at special ed a great deal and how we're doing our IEPs and all. The federal government also comes and does a separate audit later, and he does that as well. But this part of audit also includes that. It also includes all the financial aspects. They pull all of our debt, they pull all of our contracts, they pull hundreds of payroll files, and they look to make sure the exact amount of money that we paid somebody for the year, that there's approval by the board for every single item. So I have to pull hundreds of separate minutes, and it's very expensive. It takes a long time. It probably takes, you'll see as the year goes, they'll get updates, but it's hundreds of hours that they'll request things and ask questions and stuff. And so getting a thing on every year is huge because we got the Auditor's Award now 2 years in a row. So we're on the right track. We've got a really strong internal controls set in place. And as long as we're follow-up, then.
Great job with that, and that's where I wanted to, I think it's good for people to know what all is involved, because I think that just highlights some of the things that's impressive to have gotten the audit report back with that, so great job.
Ready for a vote? Yeah, vote.
Anderson?
Yes.
Bath?
Yes.
Palage?
Yes.
Goods?
Yes.
Stuckey?
There are athletic things on this, so I will abstain.
Okay, under the superintendent's report, we have 4 items for your approval tonight. The first is the second reading for the policy revisions that were brought last month. There was a question given to us yesterday, and was the answer concerning one of them. 5.2, we brought these 2 items to the last board meeting for emergency approval. The OLA contacted us and asked us to do a second vote to affirm the adoption of these. So we've already approved them, but they're asking to do it again. 5.3 is the 2018-19 summary of services for the Hamilton County ESC. And 5.4 is the 18-19 summary of services for the Warren County Educational Service Center. There were some questions with that. We also answered today.
Is there a motion to accept 5.1 and 5.2?
So moved. Second.
You guys are both concerned about your
Jinx.
Charles said. Any discussion?
I think the questions that come from me, and my challenge is just, as I said the same thing a year ago at this time, when I look at like an occupational therapist for 17 days a week, I just hope that we're continuing to look at what we can bring in-house with having all of our schools on pretty much close to one area other than 5 Points. And wanting to save as much money as we possibly can, and when you're paying by the hour, when you're contracting out like that, we're gonna be paying more money. So just challenging as much as we can with our OT, PT, speech, trying to bring as much as we can in-house, even if we have to, just like at the ESC, if we're contracting out, it's a speech therapist that's going between buildings. It would be the same thing here, going between buildings, so.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because there was one additional thing that I got today that I did want to share. Thank you for reminding me. Part of the reason that it is now, and how it has been for several years, this kind of cost, is what I tried to explain, where there are some days we may need 5 people in one day at these locations, which 1 or 2 people couldn't have done it. Or maybe another day we need 1 person here, these other people would have sat and not had any work that day. However, Emily has come to me, and this has also been a red flag for her since she's come. She's going to have conversations with ESC, especially with the OT and the PT. The other things that we have there, the speech and the other one that you had asked.
Behavior coaching.
Behavior, yeah. Those, we still aren't to the point of getting a full-time person. If we get to a point where the cost could exceed it, and we can make sure 1 person can handle everything, that makes sense. The others, because of how many places they go, it hasn't made sense so far, but we are going to look into that. So we want to review these every year. Emily has built a very good relationship with Warren County ESC, and I think we made some changes to last year's contract and this year, thanks to her leadership. We'll keep looking at that.
Thank you. Thank you. And it does make sense. I know finding somebody that would only want a part-time job that also is speech qualified, I'm sure is very difficult. So I get it when it's only 2.5 days a week. When I look at somebody 2.5 days a week making this much, I'm going, eeks, if, we can, once we get to the point that justifies a full-time position, I'm hoping that we're bringing them in-house, because I know that would be saving money. So I appreciate you guys looking at that, so.
Mr. President, roll call.
Roll call. Anderson?
Yes.
Bath?
Yes.
Palage?
Yes.
Goods?
Yes.
Stuckey?
Yes.
Ready to move to our Director of Human Resources report, and Mrs. Hester is here.
Good evening, members of the board. I'm presenting to you the July personnel report. And line by line, I'll put it in columns so that you can understand. Lines 1 through 6 are certificate resignations. Get through those are employment of 12 new certificated employees. We've done really well since May. We've only hired 16 certificated educators, so that's a little more number with other districts. 19 through 25 is employment of 7 classified employees. 26 is a supplemental contract for the College Credit Plus administration. 27 is a change to ESY service with the change of instructors. 28 through 32, approval of home instructors in case more of the day end of the school year. 33 through 34 are extended days to help support and transportation as we get ready for the rounds and the new school year. 35 through 36 are classified subs. 37 through 43, that is band camp personnel for the upcoming band camp July 29th through August 3rd. And then 44 through 46 are leaves of absence.
Okay, is there a motion to accept 6-1 and 6-2?
6-2
Oh, I'm
is.
sorry, you're not
Yeah, that's
done.
okay.
Sorry. Yeah, we need to.
6-2, I am happy to ask for approval for an administrative contract for Sarah Gershner, who's here this evening. She will be our element, if approved, will be our elementary special ed coordinator. We had a lot of very qualified applicants. Sarah comes to us with 10 years of experience as an intervention specialist at 5 points. She has 2 master's degrees, and we are truly excited that she has chosen Springboro as her home for her first administrative contract. So it's good news.
See, I didn't think we needed to say that. Is there a motion to accept 6-1 and 6-2 now?
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Anderson?
Yes.
Bath?
Yes.
Palage?
Yes.
Goods?
Yes.
Stuckey?
Yes.
Can I make a quick comment on that? I'm just impressed with the process. My son was asked to be part of an interview. He's an upcoming 5th grader, and he was asked by Mrs. Hunter to be part of an interview process. Super impressed with that, because they asked, I think it was for possibly a second interview. Is Mrs. Hunter here? She's not. I think it was for a second interview, but they put, I think, 6 kids in a classroom, and the teachers have to go through and teach a lesson, not just to teachers, but to students. And she pulled mine in and mine squirrely, so she didn't just put your model students in there. And I thought, what an awesome thing. So it was just really impressive. I didn't know that I don't know who all does that, but it was just really impressive for me to learn that.
This is 4th grade, and this particular teacher that we are recruiting, she was she said, I've never had to go through that. And
Yeah. Yeah, it really tells you a lot about the teacher that you're going to be bringing into your building, and are they able to handle kids that are going to bring you a variety of things, you know? So I was just really impressed with that.
So now I'd like to present item 6.4, which is our athletic personnel report, and those are supplemental contracts for various sports for the 18-19 season. And then also presenting item 6.5, which is the summer camp workers. And you all approved the workers, we just weren't sure what their actual pay was going to be. So that's what's on this report. So you'll see some of those things for the second time. And once they get the revenue in, they're able to figure out what each worker can make for the team.
Is there a motion to accept 6-4 and 6-5?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Anderson?
Yes.
Bath?
Yes.
Palage?
Yes.
Goods?
Yes.
Stuckey?
Abstain.
Thank you.
At this point, we're ready for our Director of Special Education for one item tonight.
Good evening, Board President, members of the board. I have one agenda item. I'm seeking approval for student services of private district contracts.
Well, that wasn't very long.
Is there a motion to accept 7-1?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Anderson?
Yes.
Bath?
Yes.
Palage?
Yes.
Goods?
Yes.
Stuckey?
Yes.
At this point, we turn turn it over to our Executive Director of District Operations, Mr. Brunel.
Mr. President, members of the board, for your consideration today, I have two items. 8.1 is approval of the Cook Family Fun Day concession agreement that will be extended from now until 2023. So it's an extension of a 5-year agreement that was done a few years ago when they put together the Wade Field project with the city and all the groups that use Wade Field. So it's very useful to us because then we don't have to manage the chaos of how much goes on down there. And then 8.2 is approval of the windows that were put out for bid this year. For the high school, it's phase 2 of a 5-year phase to get all the windows changed. And the sole bidder on the project was Capital Aluminum Glass for $98,500.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So are we still set to be on their field on July 30th?
You mean for the football field because of the turf and the track? It's going to be close. Unfortunately, the track company got delayed in Pennsylvania a week. They were supposed to mobilize last Tuesday, and they're mobilized today here. So right now, the way it looks, unless there's something drastic that happens, worst case scenario, they're lighting the track the 30th and the 31st, but they're still hoping to get it done before then.
Okay.
I mean, they really, by contract, they really have until the 5th. And if they hadn't been delayed in Pennsylvania, they probably would have been done early. So
Just looking at.
we're pushing. We're still pushing them to get done. Yeah, well, 2 a days going down the Wade Field with soccer and everything else, and it'll be hard.
We got a couple grass areas along the driveway.
Yeah, we have a the teacher's lot now is striped for the marching band to use, so that's another thing. So they're ecstatic, by the way, to have that striping to use it for another option.
All right, is there a motion to accept 8.1 and 8.2?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion?
One question, on the Wakefield concessions contract,
Yes.
has anything changed besides the term, the dates
No,
of the
no,
contract?
just the dates.
Same
Everything
revenue
else,
split, or-
everything else is staying the same. Tommy Myers is the one that does the majority of that managing of that concession stand, and he does a whale of a job doing that, because trying to keep up with Pee Wee football, lacrosse, soccer, it's crazy how much that field is used, and he does a great job, so.
I was concerned because I think 50% of it goes to the Warren County Foundation, that all that money wouldn't be coming back in district, but they confirmed that it definitely does.
It definitely-
So
it comes back
I felt good about it once I knew that it's all, they're just helping us with the staffing of it and the maintenance. That felt good.
Yeah, exactly.
Make sure that since our families are contributing to the concessions, that it was also benefiting our space.
Definitely.
And it is, so.
Yep.
It's a win-win for us.
It is.
in my book.
It's outstanding.
Yeah, great, thanks.
Thank you.
Anderson?
Yes.
Shad?
Yes.
Palage?
Yes.
Goods?
Yes.
Stuckey?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Before we get into the next session, I want to make this comment. The contracts that are going to be voted on tonight, there are no financials in it. The contract is just about extension. The financials will be taken care of at a later date, so I wanted the public to be aware of that. There's no money being added on to either of these contracts. So 9.1, we have to vote on each of these separately. We can, okay. 9.1 is the resolution to terminate the treasurer's contract, and 9.2 is the approval for the new contract for the treasurer of 5 years. Is there a motion to accept 9.1 and 9.2?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
discussion? Roll call.
Well, I just wanted to take a second to say thank you to Tara. I know we touched on it earlier with just the financials, but just, it's a pleasure working with somebody that is so transparent and so detailed. And I think you saw the fact that we finished within ultimately $5,000 of where we were expecting to be from an expenditure standpoint on the year. It's just a testament to the hard work that you and the team have put in. So just really appreciate your knowledge of financial matters as it relates to the district, and happy to extend this contract. It's just a pleasure working with you.
I would just add that, because of my maturity and my age, that having to been on a lot of boards, and this young lady she could be a CFO for a lot of corporations. She's really good, and talking to other people, the respect she's garnered in that area is pretty impressive.
Roll call.
Anderson?
Yes.
Bath?
Yes.
Palage?
Yes.
Goods?
Yes.
Stuckey?
Yes. 949594 is the termination of our current contract of our superintendent, and then 95 is the approval of new contract. 94 and then 95.
No.
95 is the approval of the new contract for 3 years. Is there a motion to accept 94 and 95?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a comment. And I typically don't read, but I am going to read my statement tonight. Our school district has an amazing foundation. Historically, we've always had outstanding community support with incredible families, dedicated and talented staff, and so many innovative, bright teachers. Most importantly, we have kids who come to school ready to learn. They try hard, they excel, they make us look good. Our biggest asset are the people we have here, the students, the staff, and the teachers. It's inspiring to hear their voices. It is important we hear their voices at all times. As a board member, I am constantly working to make connections with our community, our staff, and other school boards and districts throughout the state. Even on this board, we are better for the diversity of our experiences and perspectives. As a parent of children in our schools for the last 15 years, I know all too well how disagreements can divide our community. It is so important that we hear and respect each other. I'd like to provide insight into what led me to my decision to vote the way I will be voting on the superintendent's contract. Mr. Schreier excels in interviews and presentations. He has never met a stranger and extends a strong handshake to everyone he meets. He makes a very positive first impression for our district. I appreciate that about him. While it would be an easy road to focus on his positive attitude, the great things happening with our kids, and hope everything else would fall into place, I wouldn't be doing my job of evaluating the superintendent if I ignored the concerns I have when considering extending his contract. I will not be voting in support of the contract extension tonight for these reasons. First, we do not have what I consider strategic goals that are followed to intentionally lead our district beyond our current levels. Second, a performance review has not been done to evaluate this past year's performance. Therefore, to make a decision to extend a contract without documentation about current performance seems irresponsible to me. Third, there has been a pattern of spending over the last 2 years that has been concerning. In my opinion, money has been spent at times without a thorough exploration of other creative options that might accomplish a similar goal, but at a smaller expense. Examples include spending over $1 million on the modular at Clear Creek when there potentially were other options if we look creatively at the current buildings. Second, spending close to $500,000 in College Credit Plus, which is not something that we can control, yet in my opinion, not re-evaluating the current structure at the high school to accommodate for the additional expenses of students going out of district for their education. These couple of examples represent just some of the concerns that I've had as they are expenses that are costing our district a significant amount of money that is needed in other areas right now, which leads to my final reasoning. I've expressed concern with the lack of transparency and communication in our district over the last 2 years, but that concern seemed to have been dismissed. This concern is most profound right now. We do not have a contract for our teachers or staff, and the unions have been given permission by their members to give a 10-day strike notice required if they feel that's the only option to an agreement is a strike. As a board member, I'm profoundly disappointed that the only substantive update that we received was provided to us by Mr. Schreier less than 24 hours before negotiations went to federal mediation, which means an outside person is brought in to help as both sides are at an impasse. I cannot help but wonder if we could have resolved more concerns had the board been informed and involved at an earlier point in the negotiations. There are many impressive things happening in our district, like the most recent ranking from the U.S. World in News Report. Recognizing that this ranking is based on the data from the past in 2015-16 school year, before there was this change in administration, my challenge is to the current administration that we continue to set high goals for the district and that we continue to stay focused so that the rankings improve as they have in the previous years. It was significant growth when we moved from the 94th ranking in 2015 that was based on the 12-13 data to 61st in 2016 based on the 13-14 data. We continually moved up in the rankings because we were focused during that time on our goals, and the staff and teachers did a tremendous job responding to that challenge. I hope and pray that the same level of challenge continues. Tonight's vote on the superintendent's contract is not a decision I make lightly. In fact, there's not a single vote or action I've taken as a board member that I take lightly. I do my research and ask questions. I'm now in my 3rd year on this board, and I've learned a lot. I'm working to remain open to different perspectives through attending additional board trainings and in networking with board members throughout the state. I've worked to grow in my understanding of this job and to check my own expectations. I've learned to step back, but I also know that one thing we all agree on is that one of our single biggest responsibilities is the hiring and oversight of the superintendent and treasurer. For me personally, in this position as a board member, I cannot in good conscience support the contract extension. The tradition of excellence in Springboro continues to be strong because of the work of so many. My vote tonight does not diminish the pride that I have in Springboro schools. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I have one.
Go ahead.
One of the Board of Education's most important jobs is the selection of district leadership. Dan Schroyer, our district superintendent, and Tara Floyd, our treasurer, have been exemplary leaders over their tenures with Springboro schools. They have demonstrated time and again their ability and willingness to lead, their high standards of ethics, and their care and concern for the district's students, families, faculty, staff, and taxpayers within our community. In short, they have demonstrated a commitment to Springboro schools. It's my desire as a board member to see both Mr. Schroyer and Ms. Floyd continue their roles within the district moving forward. That is why I am supportive of extending the contracts of both Mr. Schroyer and Ms. Floyd and make a commitment to them that reflects the commitments they have already demonstrated to Springboro schools. Mr. Schroyer has accomplished a great deal in his time at Springboro schools, including building and improving relationships with community organizations. He's developed a strong bond with faculty and staff and brought in talented leaders throughout the district, some of which are sitting here today. He's continued to improve upon a legacy of academic excellence that is recognized both within this community as well as statewide. He's conducted himself and his administration in a very professional manner with parents, faculty, staff, and the Board of Education. I am thankful for his contributions that he has made, and I'm excited to continue to work with him in the future. Ms. Floyd has been an exemplary treasurer for the district for several years. She and her staff are honest and ethical in all their activities. Ms. Floyd has provided strategic leadership to the board and provides critical guidance on all financial matters. She's a true financial partner to the district and a valued leader and advisor. Ms. Floyd has helped lead this district through some rocky financial situations and gotten us to much surer footing. I am thankful for Ms. Floyd's contributions and look forward to continuing to partner with her as we plan for this district future. Thanks, Ms.
Other comments?
Yeah, I'll go. Didn't prepare anything, so I'll just sort of go off the cuff. start by saying that, I appreciate what Bab shared, but I was struck by, as I was listening to that, how many of the things that were noted, not necessarily criticism, and rather the sport. Spending, for example, you referenced, I don't recall you voting on that. I think that was a board decision. Setting strategic goals for the district, I think that falls on us as a board. Yes, there are contract negotiations going on, that's a contract between the board and our unions. So I think there's a lot of stuff in there that I really think comes back on the five of us, not necessarily Mr. Schreier, but as I was thinking about the vote tonight and extending Mr. Schreier's contract, I couldn't help but think about just a lot of the very positive things that you've accomplished in your time here. We had our last meeting, Leadership Academy graduates that were here, which I think it's great that we're developing those future leaders in the district, our own people, investing in them. I love the things we do for the student success in action and seeing our students at the meetings. But as I thought about what really stood out to me, it's more the relationships that we've been able to form within the district. So I went back to, folks remember this, but we did a staff satisfaction survey about a year ago, June 30th, that we got the readout. We had 465 people responded, 22 administrators, 316 of our certificated staff, 127 classified staff. And there was a theme that emerged in there. So again, I'm just reading from the report that the school administrators expressed a very favorable view of their empowered leadership from the new superintendent for this past academic year. Let's see, another one here. It says, school administrators emphasized the improvement the district has experienced in community engagement with the new superintendent. They further indicated that positive staff changes have been made because of this new leadership. Just comments from the certificated staff. For the most part, certificated staff expressed significant confidence in the new superintendent and his leadership. They indicated that the district priorities being established are becoming more focused. When asked to comment on the leadership ratings, certificated staff indicated that in the past academic year, they have noticed significant positive changes in leadership from the superintendent and central office, which they received favorably. School administrators have the most optimistic view of the district leadership with a very favorable rating of the superintendent and the central office. And the last one that I wanted to highlight, when asked to comment on the ratings, certificated staff indicated that communications with parents has significantly improved from the past, largely due to the leadership of the superintendent. Those aren't my words. Those are words from our teachers, our administrators, and our staff, and I think they really reinforce what I've personally experienced in working with you, and for those reasons, I'm happy to support your extension.
Well, I don't think I could have said it any better than the two colleagues up here. But I'm going to vote yes with vigor. I just think we're fortunate to have these two people in our leadership capacities. And we only hire two people, and that's important. And I'm big on relationships, and as Jamie mentioned in his comments, school systems are relationship business. So you build relationship with the students, parents. As far as I'm concerned, they're all our customers and our employees. I always want them to feel that way. These children and these parents are our customers, and we need to do whatever we need to do to make sure they have the best education and the best experience at the schools that we can provide. And Dan Schreier is doing that. He's done that. There's a learning experience when you come into the school system, and I think he's taken that on very well. One of the things that I didn't hear tonight was the state of the situation between the safety people in the police department and the school system a few short years ago, which was really, quite honestly, chaotic and was not good at all. And now I'd have to say that as an example of one of the things that Mr. Kerr's been able to do is he's created a work environment between the schools and the police department that is just like hand in glove. I mean, they're here to support us, we support them, and really that comes at a critical time with what's going on in this country at this time with campus security and safety. So that's just one thing that came to mind that is so much, and there are a number of other things that are, but that's one thing that stands out to me. So I have no hesitation extending both of these.
A lot of what I was going to talk about has already been mentioned by Charles, Dan, and Jamie. Let me approach this from a different point of view. I was a teacher for 35 years and worked for many different superintendents. Some have their good points, and some, as far as being a teacher, didn't have as many, responsibilities, didn't do as much as what we as teachers thought should be done. In hiring Dan 2 years ago, did not know for sure what we were going to get, but, as a teacher, and now as a board member, the traits that he has portrayed as our leader are something, those traits are things that as a teacher, I wanted to see in our leader and not always did get. So, I'm not going to go into great detail because it's already been done, but the qualities that you show as our leader are the ones that we were looking for when we hired a superintendent, and you haven't deviated from that. And I couldn't be more happy with what you've done. And so this extension hopefully will continue with what progress you've been making. So with that, is there a motion to accept 9-4 and 9-5?
So moved.
Second.
Two things get together. Roll call.
Anderson?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Bab?
No.
Belanger?
Yes.
Goods?
Yes.
Stuckey?
Yes. Any announcements or considerations?
We're good. We're ready for executive session, Mr. President.
Have a motion to move into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of public employee or official. Preparing for conducting or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Anderson?
Yes.
Bab?
Yes.
Belanger?
Yes.
Goods?
Yes.
Stuckey?
Yes. There will be no further action after we are done.